Hello and welcome to the State of Shakespeare. I'm Garrett Vandermeer.
And I'm Jim Elliott.
And today on the program, we're joined by Jackson Dean. Hello, Jackson.
Hello.
Jackson Dean is a student at Palm Valley High School in Rancho Mirage, California. And Jackson most recently won the National Shakespeare Monologue Competition run by the English Speaking Union. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for joining us. So what is the monologue that you presented for the competition?
I did Iago's monologue, Act 2, Scene 3, and that says I play the villain, that one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Jackson, we just did an interview with a speech and voice coach who did that exact monologue.
I was looking on the site and I saw that. And I was like, what a coincidence.
Yes.
So congratulations, you played the villain and you played him well.
Well, thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your experience in the competition.
Well, the competition itself, starting off, was unlike anything I've ever been in competition-wise. I did the Poetry Out Loud competition. I've done school competitions, but it was probably the city, and it was Lincoln Center, and it was just the way that they were so organized, and they gave us a chance to really bond with each other. So it was less of a competition in my eyes than it was more of a festival of Shakespeare and a celebration of Shakespeare.
Oh, that's great. Have you been able to keep in touch with some of your fellow competitors?
They've been trying to create a full 54-person group chat, and that's a bit difficult, if you can imagine.
Yes, particularly with different time zones.
Exactly. It was really cool because there wasn't any tension after the win. It was like I won and everyone was happy, and it wasn't like anyone left and was angry. It was loving, and they were like, you need to give us all the info when you go to London so that we can talk to you over there. It was an experience for sure.
Well, so what's happening in London?
I was given, for winning, a 2-week scholarship to the Young Actors Summer School at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes.
So about this speech. In this speech, well, tell us what the speech that you'll be sharing with us today actually comes not from Othello, but from Titus Andronicus. Do I have the correct information?
You are correct. I did this monologue in 9th grade. If that is weird for you, it was weird for me too, because again, my drama teacher was like, "Oh, you're a freshman and you are small, but why don't you do this monologue about murdering people gruesomely?" Okay, great. And I won with that monologue school county-wise, and then I got second place regional with this monologue. And if you can't tell, I love being the villain. I really do. And this is like, for me, because I really haven't found any other Shakespeare monologue other than the Iago one that is the pinnacle, like, villain monologue, crazy psycho, as this Aaron monologue from Titus Andronicus.
Why do you enjoy playing the villain?
Because it's not me. It's not anything I would ever do or ever think of, obviously, to become crazy and psychotic and sadistic. To me, I don't know, it's fun in a way. It's fun to be like, let out all your morality and your common sense and just become insane and go crazy. And that, for me, it's fun to do. And I don't know what it is, but it comes out easy for me.
So do you tap into, a dark side of you, or do you just, how do you approach a villain's role when you're first starting out?
I really don't know, because every villain is different. In fact, quick sidebar I wanted to tell you. For the regional this year, they had us do a cold reading. So it was my monologue, my sonnet, and a cold reading. Mm-hmm. So my monologue was Iago, evil. My sonnet was loving. And then they gave me a cold reading of another villain of Shakespeare. I forgot exactly which villain it was, but it was a different type of villain. So that's what I look at the type of villain that this character is. Is it a rich and pompous villain? Is it a crazy villain? Is it a villain that will die doing what he or she wants to achieve? And I then basically leave Jackson a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and try and really harness, okay, what is he thinking? What is she thinking? What are they going through right now? What's happening in the show that leads up to this monologue? Is it built up anger? Is it built up insanity, sadness? And is it because of a boiling over of emotions, or is it planned? And then I don't know what happens, but something clicks in me, and I just go crazy.
Well, with a build-up
this
like
sounds
that,
fun.
I know we're looking forward to hearing this. But could you give us a little bit of a background, a little bit of a context about who this character Aaron is?
What's just happened?
Yeah.
Okay, so Aaron is a Moor, and he was hired to do some really bad things to Titus Andronicus. So they actually found him guilty in the show, and this is the first scene of the last act where they are about to hang Aaron because they're like, the people are saying, well, you've done all these terrible things, so you will hang, and we will watch you because you are terrible. So they kind of banter back and forth. Aaron is being, his evil self because he's evil the entire play. So then one of the townspeople says, basically, in non-Elizabethan, he says, "Aren't you sorry for what you've done?" And so Aaron says, "Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I was caught this soon and I haven't been able to do 1,000 more dreadful things." And that is so evil, and I love it.
Well, why don't we hear you do it? So this is Jackson Dean doing Titus Andronicus, the character of Aaron, Act 5, Scene 1.
I, that I had not done 1,000 more. Even now I curse the day, and yet I think few come within the compass of my curse, wherein I did not some notorious ill as kill a man, or else devise his death, ravish a maid, or plot the way to do it, accuse some innocent and forswear myself, set deadly enmity between two friends, make poor men's cattle break their necks, set fire on barns and haystacks in the night, and bid the owners quench them with their tears. Oft have I digged up dead men from their graves and set them upright at their dear friend's door, even when their sorrows almost was forgot. And on their skins, as on the bark of trees, have with my knife carved in Roman letters, "Let not your sorrow die," though I am dead. But I have done 1,000 dreadful things, as willingly as one would kill a fly. And nothing grieves me heartily indeed, for that I cannot do 10,000 more. Thank you.
Wow. It's villainous indeed, this fellow.
Yes, my oh my. So this is a speech where Aaron really goes evil. I mean, he's been evil through a whole thing, but you have some little humanity with him when he's in love with the queen and they have a child together, and so he's defending his child and all that stuff. But here he shows zero remorse.
Yes, for sure. He is, like I was saying, he has that boiling up of emotions and he just lets it spill out in that time. So that's why he leaves behind any barrier of morality and should I say this, should I not say this kind of thing. He just lets it loose.
And it's interesting that you did Iago for the English Speaking Union contest. This is essentially Aaron's last speech before going away,
right.
And Iago's last speech before going away is "I shall say no more."
Right, exactly. I kind of like the monologues of "this is my ultimatum" kind of thing. I'm going to do this or it is done for me, especially with Shakespeare, because Shakespeare was probably the most dramatic person when it came to making villains. So those kind of monologues that the villain says, where it's just like, this is it, it's all or nothing, for me, are the best kind of monologues, at least for me to get into that really villainous type of feeling.
Well, I have a question about the speech itself, and I don't know whether Jackson or Jim, maybe you can shed some insight on this, but the image of digging up dead men from their graves and defiling them and leaving them where their friends will find them with horrible messages written on them, just designed to aggravate their friends' grief, sounds like maybe one of the most horrifying things that you can think of. I'm wondering if that's Shakespeare's invention or whether that harkens back to some other scene that maybe he's borrowed it from somebody else's idea. Or do you imagine Shakespeare sitting around with his buddies late at night, maybe with a couple drinks, and thinking, okay, what's your idea of the very worst thing that could possibly be done to another human being? Do you happen to know in your research, Jackson, where that idea comes from?
I personally think that Titus Andronicus is like Shakespeare's emotional phase, where he's just like, this isn't a phase, mom, kind of a play. He's really dark in this play, the way he writes it. Like, the musical Sweeney Todd was based off of Titus Andronicus because it was unprecedented to have the story end up with someone cutting up another person and baking them into a pie and then feeding them to someone. And I can't find anywhere else this type of happening in the Renaissance type writing, Elizabethan writing, not a Renaissance, Elizabethan type writing in this era. I may not have researched enough, but I think this is basically all like Shakespeare's originality of, well, let's see. Aaron needs to be dark, but let's just take a shot in the dark and see how dark we can go. And the shot hit, luckily, because props to Shakespeare, he did really good.
Yeah.
Well, Jackson, if you like playing these kinds of roles, boy, wait till you discover the Jacobean revenge tragedies that come along several decades later.
Oh man, they're horrible.
I've not researched the Jacobean revenges.
Oh, wait, lots for you to enjoy.
Yes, exactly.
I'll look it up.
Yeah. So in your performance of the speech, I was fascinated because, first of all, you're super clear, and you're using the words and you're chewing on the language, like the word ravish, you really dig into. But what I found even more interesting was that you have a really interesting sense of rhythm with the speech.
Yeah.
And you start off slow and then you gain speed, and then about halfway through the speech, right where you start describing digging up the dead men on line 137 in our version, you sort of reload and you slow down again, and then you start building up speed. And I really, really appreciated that sense of rhythm and gathering force as you continued speaking. Was that something that comes innately, or was that something that you worked with on it with a coach?
So the first version I saw, it was a different version from this, the version I'm looking at, and they kind of they split it up. Whoever made the monologue or posted it online, they split it up in those three parts, kind of. And so it was just like, okay, this is where I have to pause and calm down a little bit. And it works because Aaron goes really, really kind of crazy of his list, his to-do list of what he does to people.
Yeah, I love the idea of a to-do list.
Yeah. And then for me, it's like he's saying to himself, okay, here's my to-do list, but I feel like I haven't gotten to my audience quite yet. So let me hit him with this one. And then he goes he kind of falls into the fact that he also, by the way, often does he dig up dead people, and I put them at friends' doors because I don't want you to forget that they're dead. And then that kind of builds because, it's a truly terrible, heinous act for someone to do that. And then it dies down again on, but I have done 1,000 dreadful things, because he's kind of like reiterating his first point, because his first line is that I've not done 1,000 more. So it's a roller coaster, the way I see it. It really does go up and down, because like the boiling up of emotions, you don't really control when you get angry, when you don't get angry, it just kind of happens. And that's how I feel that Aaron would feel in this speech, especially.
I'm interested in the line 143, and I think what you just described is fantastic. And I'm interested in 143. In our version, the word that starts that line is tut, tut.
Okay. So this version has but. I actually originally did it as tut. I like tut.
I love tut.
Because the way I did it originally was with tut in the monologue. So it wasn't, let not your sorrow die though I am dead, but I have done 1,000 dreadful things. It was, let not your sorrow die though I am dead. Tut, I have done 1,000 dreadful things. It was like, well, yes, I've done 1,000 dreadful things.
Yeah, like whatever, it's all good.
Yeah.
Like he minimizes what he just said with the word tut. I love that.
Yeah.
Which makes him more evil. Well, this is terrific.
Jackson, congratulations on your championship, and have a fantastic summer. And we look forward to following your career and hearing more about you in the years to come.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure.
I'm Garrett Vandermeer.
And I'm Jim Elliott.
And thank you for listening to The State of Shakespeare.
Thanks for joining us for the State of Shakespeare podcast. We invite you to visit stateofshakespeare.com for more episodes, information about each of our guests, and the Shakespeare text you heard on the program, and much more. And we welcome you to join the discussion by liking us on Facebook. That's www.stateofshakespeare.com. Thanks for listening.